welcome to Volume Up in Color. I'm Leslie Jespersen, and thanks for tuning in. I am joined today by my friend and licensed clinical social worker, Nicole Lynch. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for letting us bombard your house.
No problem. Welcome.
So, we're going to be talking a lot about today what Nicole does, how she got here, life as a mom and a partner, and balancing all the things. And yeah, so
Sure.
you have your own practice now, right?
I do, yeah.
So how long has that been open and running?
September of 2018, so
Okay.
a little over a year.
And
Yeah.
everything's, are you still like balancing the highs and the lows and figuring it all out? Or
Definitely. 'Cause
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
Trying to get clients and how do you do that? And, so it's not, I'm like fully booked, I'm open Monday through Thursday. So, it's slow, but
that's,
it
so I
builds
feel
up,
like slow
like,
growth
yeah.
is good.
Yeah,
And
it was
that's
slow and steady. So now it's like, it's steady, it's good, and I'm looking at other opportunities and ways to build the practice. Yeah.
That's something that I have a hard time accepting.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Things
very
take
much
time.
like 0 to 100 real quick. So
Do it
I
all at once,
want
get
all
it
the
there.
things. So how did you always want to have your own practice? Is that something that was like the goal?
Absolutely. It
Okay.
really was a goal that I had. I got my master's in social work in 2005, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do eventually, but I knew it was going to take some time, so I just, worked at nonprofits and loved what I did, and eventually got to a point where I needed to get clinical hours, so I had to switch agencies, and then that was it. It was like, work this agency,
Right.
get these hours in, get my LCSW, and then start.
So there was like a path. There was.
But I was much older and like got to a point in my life where it was like comfortable with my life and happy, and was like, okay, I can go to this next step. I was really scared to do it, but I'm glad that I did. I just started small and worked my way up.
So talk to me a little bit more about that, like making these moves at certain points in your life. That was very calculated, would you say, or kind of just going with the flow? Like, what type of person are you?
It was like kind of both. So like I always
Okay.
knew in my mind this was going to be the end goal. I just never knew. Honestly, there was points where I thought like it would never happen because I was kind of scared to do it. But I worked at an agency for 13 years and loved it so much, but wasn't getting the clinical work that I needed in order to get. The way social work licensure is that you have one license, your LSW, which is not a clinical license, and then you move on to the next level of licensure, LCSW, licensed clinical social worker, but you have to be doing specific clinical work and be supervised by someone with that license, which meant I had to move on and go somewhere else. So I did that. So I moved to a different agency, was doing clinical work, still in a kind of management type of position, running programs, supervising staff, knowing that that was not what I wanted to do forever. I got to a point and was like, okay, I'm getting what I need from this place. I'm going to get my license. And then that's the next step is going to be open the practice. But I had my daughter and ended up just taking a break from work for 8 months and just stayed home with her. Yeah. And I'm really glad that I did do that. I teach at Stockton too. I teach in the master's in social work program. So I was still doing that like 1 day a week, but was home with her most of the time. And then I got to a point where I felt, okay, I'm ready to do something else. So I, went back to the agency, worked, like 2 days a week as a therapist, but still had in the back of my mind, like, okay, this is going to have to happen.
Yeah.
So talked to friends that have their own practice and just decided to jump in. I'm like, even if I have one client, at least it's one client.
Yeah.
So.
And you mentioned fear, because that is something that I think about and I talk about all the time, because fear can be so crippling, especially when it's something as important as your job and your livelihood.
Absolutely.
I think it's something that has helped me strengthen my faith muscle in whatever you have faith in, whether your faith is just in the belief that like tomorrow is going to happen,
right?
But that fear, how would you tell people who are, in the same, because I know a lot of social worker friends who are just like, this is fucking hard. Like, this is, all of this is just, you know, all those steps, and they have that fear. What would you say to them?
The same thing that honestly, like I say to my clients, is that like if we submit to our fears, they're just going to take over. And I also say to them, like, I have my own fears, you know, like, yeah, I have huge fears, and the fear of opening my own practice was something that held me back for a while. But if I had continued on with that fear and just let that take over, then I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in this, I'd still be working in an agency. I wouldn't be happy with it, and I would still want this to be my end goal. And when I really broke it down, it was, well, what am I afraid of?
Right.
The actual having the business, or the process to get the business? And it was the process to get the business.
Yeah.
That was the piece that was holding me back, and that was hard for me. And I just talked with another social worker friend of mine who opened her own practice and said, here, I'm going to bullet point, like, just having someone to help you. So I pay that forward all the time with social workers and with anybody. Like, I will pay that forward all the time of, here, she gave me bullet points. Here's what you do. Here's the process. So I did that, and here I am, you know. So if I had submitted to the fear.
And I think that, oh my gosh, the process of like getting the business, I know that I still call my mom all the time. Like, I don't know what this means, you know, that business part is tough.
Yeah, it is.
There are people specifically trained in running businesses, and that's something that I run into. Like, I can do my actual job, but running the business aspect of it. And that's the scary part, like, and the tough part for us, like, as social workers, as clinicians, you know, LPCs, like, those of us that provide therapeutic services, we do that part great. you know? Like, we've got the clinical side down, but then we're not business people. Right.
So how the hell are we supposed to manage
taxes
this? Taxes and getting an LLC, all this stuff. Like, you know, I don't take insurance at my practice right now. So it's a, you know, pretty much an all cash business. So then I had to get an accountant for the first time. I always do my own taxes. And I was like, here? I don't know. I hope I did it right, you know, and I did. So yay! So I felt good about going into this year of like, okay, this is a full year. It's my first full year being open, you know, all of 2019. So, all right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's exciting. It's fun. I was still working one day a week at the agency because I was like, I have to hold on to it. Like, I just need to have that like backup. What if this fails? I can still work there. But it's not failing, and it's growing, and it's getting better. So I quit there in December, and I'm, you know, available 4 days a week at my practice. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
The what ifs. I've been thinking about that. That's so funny that you say that, because I've been thinking about that like the last 4 days. It just keeps popping into my head. That's how, so when I do my brunch and my talks, I just like write things down in the middle of the night that's something that has been coming to me a lot, and like the what ifs, and you have that backup plan, but you also have to think about like, what if everything does work? And what if you have success beyond what you could have even imagined, and that's kind of something that you can hold on to when those fears are taking over and your anxiety is through the roof and all that crazy.
That's something I say to my clients too. Like, I work with a lot of people who are dealing with anxiety about so many different things, and I say to them, well, what if it does work out the way you want it to? What would that look like for you? Or what if all these what ifs of like, this could happen, all these bad things. Okay, what if it did? Let's play that out, you know? Like, and if we, again, surrender to the what ifs, we're stagnant. We're never going to move. We're never going to change and flow. And uncomfortable things are part of our growth.
Truth. Oh.
You know? So, I know, I feel like I'm just like a walking Pinterest board, but I have to live it. I have to remember myself, too, because believe me, I get in my own head. Often, you know, I have my meltdowns where I'm like, everything sucks and blah, you know. But then I have to check myself and talk to my boyfriend or talk to my friends, talk to my mom, and be like, wait a minute. All right. You are just conjuring this up because you're scared of something. What is that about? Okay, here, do this, do that, you know. Take care of yourself a little more if you're not doing that. And you know.
That uncomfortableness is really annoying, honestly.
Be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
That's what I'm working on because I like logically I know, you know, and I think we all know that we have to deal with things and that's how we get experience. It's so I was just looking at my Facebook memories this morning, and this time 7 years ago my status was, this is going to be a really good lesson. And it was, you know, but I was like, okay, I'm proud of you 7 years ago, Leslie, for like knowing that shit is completely hitting the fan all over the walls, but I knew I had no control over it. I'm like, all right, let's look for the lesson here. And that was the uncomfortableness.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I've known you for a very long time and seen you through the before, the during, the after, and, you know, look at you, you're shining and
it's crazy.
Doing all these wild things, and, you know, all the things that you always wanted to be doing, you're doing them.
Yeah.
We manifest it, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And
we put that out there.
If we don't take time to, like, acknowledge it and express gratitude, that's something that I have to remind myself all the time.
I do
you know,
too.
because
the gratitude practice is really important, and, you know, I'll get into my therapeutic stuff of like gratitude and mindfulness, but it's true. You know, like we don't have to sit and meditate and do that if that's not for you, but just to stop in a moment when you're feeling overwhelmed and to be like, okay, let me be in this moment. What's happening, and what's one thing I'm grateful for? To just ground yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Takes 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I know I'll, you know, everyday stuff, like the bills and the house and the kids, and
you get caught up.
I got a puppy, like why? Why did I do that? You know? Yeah. And I'll be like, well, you know, life sucks. And like, okay, but...
Yeah, but does it?
But
like,
does it? Because I prayed for this life.
Yeah.
Every single day for so long.
Yeah.
So
I was just talking about that, you know, with Bill, with my boyfriend, you know, at the New Year's Eve, like, okay, it's this decade, you know. Where was I in the beginning of the decade? And I was a completely different person, totally different life. Oh my gosh. And all I wanted was what I have right now. So it's, And
Isn't it
same
crazy?
for you. It's like we knew what we really wanted. We knew the kind of life we needed and wanted, and we manifested it and created it, and here we are. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Yay. I love that. I love that, like I said before we started filming, we've known each other for so long, and on a personal level.
I remember the day I met you.
Do you? Okay, tell me.
I remember Lori taking me, we were like shopping on our lunch break, and you were working at Cold Stone.
Oh my gosh,
you were pregnant with Alex when I met you.
Oh, and he's about to be 13.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a long road.
I miss that job sometimes, you guys.
Scooping ice cream. Easy.
I was 9 months pregnant working there, and there was a point where I could not reach over and get the ice cream because I was so big. But that was fun times.
Yeah.
No responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like, my biggest problem was brownies burning. So.
Yeah, right? Easy stuff.
Man. Yeah, that was a long time ago, and our lives are completely different.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Like we've got this.
Yeah. Yes, we do. So, in your practice, what do you find is your most favorite, and maybe that feels a little weird, what's your favorite problem to solve? No. But do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think really just like clicks with you and you get a lot of fulfillment with helping people about? Like,
I mean, I can't really say that there's like any like one particular issue, problem, concern, but, you know, I'm just getting a lot more people now who are dealing with life transitions or just anxiety in general about so many different things.
Yeah.
And the world we live in now creates a lot of anxiety for people. But with anybody, with anything that they're working on or dealing with, being able to help to see them through the process, to watch their growth, to watch them make the positive changes that they need to make from the time, you know, and I do this with clients. I'll be like, remember when you walked in the door 3 months ago? Or, you know, and who are you now? And you're so much less anxious, and, you know, you're doing the work. Watching people take ownership and do the work is the thing that brings me joy.
I love
And
it.
it's why I do what I do.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Don't click out of that browser. We'll be right back with Nicole Lynch on Volume Up in Color. Welcome back to Volume Up in Color. I'm Leslie Jespersen, joined with my friend of, we just established 13 years, Nicole Lynch, licensed clinical social worker. And we're talking all about mental health. And now we're going to dive into the stigma and how to get help if you feel like you're struggling, and what all that looks like, and how to take the steps to feel better. So, Nicole, like you said, it's a really scary world that we live in, and I know personally, I experience more anxiety now than I ever have.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the things that I like to do, because it's with me no matter where I go, and that I learned in yoga, is my breathing.
Yeah.
Like, I think I learned when I was like in childbirth class, the power of your breath.
Yeah.
That's something that I use to chill myself out.
Yeah.
If I'm like, because I just happen to have anxiety attacks like while I'm driving a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
So what does that look like? Is that something that you advise to people, as part of, tell me a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So when it comes to anxiety, I mean, obviously it looks different for each person, but a lot of the time, it's about like getting your breath and just grounding. So one of the breathing techniques that I talk about and train people to use, obviously yoga breathing, but 4-7-8 breathing, where you breathe in through your nose to a count of 4, hold it for a count of 7, and then breathe it out either through your nose or your mouth, whichever way is more comfortable for you, for a count of 8.
Okay.
And you can do that, several rounds of that to kind of just to, get your breathing cycle back down, calm down a little bit, get the heart rate down. But then like 5 senses, grounding is also a technique that I'll use with people too, where, everything just kind of feels out of control. And so you need to just kind of pull things back in. So you're using your 5 senses. You're using the 5 senses, but you're also counting. So 5 things you can see. So you look around the room, 5 things you can see. And you can do this in whichever way you want to, but 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste.
Okay.
So
write all that down.
Write that
your
down.
4-7-8 breath and the 5-4-3-2-1. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And people find success with it because, again, you're using 5 senses, so you're kind of organizing all of that, and then you're counting something, and you're paying attention to things, and so it's getting you out of your head, getting you, into your body, out of your head kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just grounding of just like, okay, I can feel the couch under me. I can feel the floor, just remembering where you are, breathing at the same time, and to just then stop and say, okay, now let me think through this. Because a lot of, anxiety comes from like our reptilian brain, where it's fight, flight, freeze, and sometimes fall, where we just like pass out, because it happens, right? So, our stress response, it depends on the situation, but, it's just like, I think it's Brene Brown that talks about like the bear, there's a bear.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? We either fight, flight, freeze, or fall down, so it's like the bear for us could be anything at this point. In our lives, because look at this world that we live in. So there's a 24-hour news cycle, there's all the social media, there's just so much happening, and then stuff in the greater world around us that we worry about too. So, and we're not, a lot of times, not just worrying about ourselves, we're worrying about our kids or our families or, whoever. So there's a lot that we're piling on to our, basic selves that, all thousands of years ago, all we had to worry about was, okay, maybe a bear's going to kill us, or that lion's chasing us. We're still the same genetic makeup that we were all those years ago, but now look at all the things that are bothering us. So it just creates a lot more.
And it's the fall thing. Like, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I'm a fainter, and I just thought that there was like, I don't know.
I don't have enough oxygen flowing through, or I need some more protein, right?
And that's, you know, this past year, I've done a lot of that.
Yeah.
And figuring out my triggers. My triggers are actually doctor's offices, which is real fun.
Okay.
I'll go right down in the waiting room.
Yeah, so like doing some grounding techniques before you walk in the door when you're in the car.
Yeah.
Breathing and grounding, you know, can help to, even when you're sitting in the waiting room, just doing that. Like you can do that grounding technique and no one's going to know you're doing it.
Yeah.
Even the breathing technique, if you just do it through your nose, no one knows you're doing it.
That's so, and now that I know that it's okay, and like I thought like my sugar was dropping, I'm like drinking lemonade and nothing's helping, and
it's an
you know,
response.
and then I start to have an anxiety attack because
you don't want to pass out.
Yeah.
It all compounds one another.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for people to understand, like, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you.
No,
and
not at
like
all.
You said, the world that we live in is
it
absolutely bananas.
I get anxious, you know,
Yeah.
there are things that make me anxious, and and it's not something I really experienced prior to having my daughter. I ended up with
Isn't that crazy?
postpartum anxiety, I mean, and postpartum depression, but the postpartum anxiety lasted a good year. And there are times, like, I get triggered by things, and there are times where I'm like, okay, all right, do the thing that I tell my clients to do. Like, all right, do the thing, and then, all right, you're going to be all right, you know.
So what if someone is experiencing this anxiety, but it might be a little bit more than that? Like, how do people know when it's time to, like, all right, this grounding stuff is not working. Like, I think I might need a little bit more. Then what?
Yeah, I mean, I say as soon as you start feeling this way, it's okay to reach out for help. I think the thing that, you know, stops people from doing that is there's cultural reasons why people don't, you know, reach out for mental health support. That culturally it may be that, like, we don't do that.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of people who break out of that, break away from the cultural stigma. But then there's social stigma of mental health and mental illness, of, you know, everyone's crazy and all, you know, like, I don't even like to say that word because, you know, it's just this negative connotation, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, we all need help sometimes. So then it's, okay, what does my insurance cover? Or, you know, if you can afford it, paying out of pocket, because then most insurances, if you didn't know, have out-of-network benefits. So you can submit receipts and get reimbursed, and you can see someone in private practice. It doesn't mean you have to go to an agency if that's daunting, or if there's a huge waiting list in an agency, still put your name on it. But there's so many options now. There's even online therapy and texting
like
therapy and apps, and, you know, there's so much out there that makes it more available to people. And most of those, you know, like, online services take insurance. So if that's the thing that's holding you back, that's like, well, I have to use my insurance and I can't afford something else. And the thought of therapy is hard to think about going to an office. You can do it right here in your house. You know, you can just do it on your phone or your laptop, or, you know, whatever works for you. So just, it's a good time for mental health because there's so many options out there where if you are struggling a little bit, that's okay. We all do. And for some people it's a big struggle. And if leaving your house to go to therapy is something that's scary, you don't have to do that.
Yeah. And so what about, because I know, like, I have a lot of friends who have, you know, I've encouraged them maybe to try it, and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about my problems with a stranger, or, you know, because I've even had therapists where you just don't click.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Is it okay
Great
to, like...
point. Yeah, absolutely. If you meet with a therapist and it doesn't work, that's okay. There's plenty of us out there.
Yeah.
You know, so I know it's like, it's hard when you're like, okay, finally I've decided I'm going to do this, and I meet with somebody and we're not clicking, and then it can really feel daunting to then have to go to somebody else, but it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, it is okay to do that. It is okay to go to somebody else. I have several clients that have said, like, you're the second or third therapist I've gone to, and, you know, fortunately it's worked out and they're still seeing me, and, you know, we're good. But, you know, I've had plenty of clients that have seen me once or twice and I don't see them again. Like, it's just, and I don't take offense to that. Like, it just, it is what it is. Either you click or you don't. But it's also, you know, really important to acknowledge that and to know that it's okay. And to your point of talking to somebody that doesn't know you, that's the whole point of therapy. You know, is to talk to somebody.
Okay, so that,
like, that's a big point of it, is that we can sit here knowing one another and talk our stuff out, but I love you and you love me, so there's a little different, you know?
There's some bias. And
there's some
if
bias
you know
there.
The person that I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're meeting with somebody who doesn't know you, it's a completely unbiased opinion, there's zero judgment, that's where you're going to get the good help and the good work, because they don't love you, they don't know you, they don't know the people you know, and if they do, they will tell you, and it's a conflict of interest, and you stop seeing each other, and you have to go to a different therapist. But you know, that's the whole point, is that you're seeing somebody who doesn't know you and has absolutely no thoughts or opinions about you, because if we start to develop opinions as therapists, we should, it's not ethical, like we shouldn't be working with somebody if you have an opinion like that. And if I know you, like I can't provide.
Right, like I wouldn't. We can go out to dinner and chat, but I wouldn't come to you as a patient.
I can't be your therapist because I know you, you know, and I know your whole family, and I know your life, you know. So that's just an example, but you know, I have lots of friends or people who are just kind of like acquaintances or past colleagues or whatever that have said like, hey, can I come to you? And I'm like, no, I mean, I know you. Like, I really do know you. So here's a list I am perfectly happy to give. I have a list all the time at the ready of all of my colleagues that I know that are really good, and I pass that list on, and, you know, hope people can get what they need.
So if someone has no idea where to start, can they, I mean, is it just a matter of Googling? Or should they start, if they have insurance, I guess they should start with their insurance?
Yeah, so typically I'll say if you have insurance, just call your insurance or go online or your app or whatever and get a list, and then you can go from there. But yeah, you can always Google. You can go on Psychology Today. Like I have a profile on Psychology Today. Most of us do. And that's where you can just type in your town. So it's like, okay, you know, I'm therapist in Linwood, and everyone's going to show up. You know, and then you can call or email and, you know, go through the list that way. Lots of therapists have their own websites, but you kind of have to know what that is to get to it.
Right.
But yeah, just to Google, but if you just Google therapists in whatever town, all their information is going to pop up. So people's websites and Psychology Today and, you know, agencies and things like that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I just wanted to reiterate, you know, like you said, now is a good time for therapy, because unfortunately the way the world is going, you know, the celebrities and suicide and the media is finally shining some kind of light on mental health, and there's a lot more advocacy for breaking that stigma. I know that I've been fortunate enough to encounter and work with a bunch of men who are really advocating for breaking that stigma and being very open with saying that. I get depressed sometimes. You know, I have a good friend who he'll send me a text, hey, I'm having a rough couple days. I'm okay. But just so you know, if I'm not answering you, I'm just doing what I need to do to get my mind right.
Sure. No, that's a great point, because there's a lot of men who won't reach out for help and who are struggling. So, you know, there's plenty of therapists out there for them too. You know, there's men and women. And we all have, you know, people have different specialties and things like that. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point. A lot of the time, you know, it's looked at as, you know, weakness and you know, real men don't need therapy, real men don't acknowledge their feelings, real men don't cry, and that is bullshit. Like, it's completely ridiculous. Like, there's no, what does that mean, real men? Like, that doesn't mean anything.
That's called toxic masculinity.
So it's like, yes, men struggle, and it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to talk to, you know, your families if you're feeling, you know, it doesn't mean that you're less of a man or less of a father, less of a husband. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that you're a human being.
Yeah.
And sometimes things are hard, and to acknowledge those feelings and talk about them is really important. It's not just for women. It's for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for like the emotional housewives who need some attention
it's
anymore.
Anybody. So many people need help. And it's okay to need help. And
Kids,
it doesn't mean
kids need help.
Yeah.
Everybody can benefit. I'm a huge advocate. I know when I was in therapy right after my divorce, it was like the best thing that I ever could have done, especially in situations like that. When divorce is such a like everybody's involved. You know what I mean? Like everybody has an opinion and your world's upside down and you don't know who to believe or whose advice to take, and most of the time all those opinions are biased.
Right.
So
you can sort through it with a therapist.
So going to a therapist, and even, you know, I just in my Leveled Up Connection community, a girlfriend of mine just posted that, you know, it took her years to acknowledge that she needed medication, and she's so happy that she did.
And there's a big stigma around that too.
Yeah.
You know, taking medication for mental health reasons, and it doesn't mean that it's forever. You know, a lot of the time it's, you know, and medication isn't for everyone, and that's okay. It's your choice. You know, you don't have to take it, but, you know, for a lot of people, they do need it. Some people it is forever. And for some people, it's just to get them over the hump. And medication with therapy is super, super important. Getting medication from a psychiatrist is really important too.
Yeah.
Primary doctors can prescribe. They don't always know what they're really prescribing or what, you know, how it's really going to react with you and your system. And
right.
All
It's just like going to a specialist for anything else.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like we look at mental health. We need to be looking at mental health like it's like we look at diabetes, like we look at cancer, like we look at heart problems, like we look at cholesterol. You know, if you have high cholesterol, you're going to go to the doctor and you're going to get blood work and you're going to take medication more than likely to lower that, and you're going to do different things in your life, you know, adjusting what you're eating and things like that, exercise. You're going to do that. If you have diabetes and you need insulin, like, you're going to take it. So it's the same thing. If you're having mental health challenges and you're really struggling and therapy isn't enough, it's okay to take medication.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. And that's the thing, it's like it doesn't have to be forever. People can get their cholesterol under control and stop taking medication, right? People can get, you know, certain heart problems under control, blood pressure, like things like that. Like, look at it that way, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for letting me in your home and talking all about this, because this is something that I'm super passionate about, and
yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
All
right, thanks for tuning in. This is Volume Up with me, Leslie Jespersen, with Nicole Lynch, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.